Like Mr. Ackerman said, the biggest thing that you're going to see different that most of you guys are used to hearing is everybody's used to calling it stranger danger. The problem with calling it stranger danger is, what are we teaching your kids? That every stranger is bad, right? We don't want to scare our kids. We want our kids we want to empower our kids that when something happens to them or they get lost or separated from their parents or somebody approaches them, that they can do something, but we don't want to scare them. So, stranger safety awareness. What do we need to be teaching our children about stranger safety? For one, who is a stranger? Kind of what we were talking about. It can be grandma. It can be the guy next door. A stranger is someone you don't know, right? That's simple. It doesn't mean, I think stranger has been taken out of context to make it seem negative, because there are many strangers. I'm a stranger to you guys. Even though I wear the uniform, I'm a stranger by our terms. That's what we want to try to avoid, that it's a negative connotation. Strangers can be good people, and most of them are. First and foremost, children need to understand what you mean by stranger. So when we're telling our kids, we don't want to scare them. Not all people unknown to them are necessarily dangerous. They need to understand the difference between a good stranger and a bad stranger. This is important to understand. There are places you can turn to when you're lost, places that feel secure. There are good strangers, and there's safe strangers. Well, here we go. Good example of what we need to teach our kids. If you get lost and we're walking around, you got places like Target, Walmart, Lowe's, a fire station, or a police station are what I would call safe places that you could send your kids for this reason. You need to teach your children that the policeman, a fireman, a teacher, or someone has a name tag or a uniform. Typically, all store employees, Walmart, Target, Best Buy, they all wear the name tag, right? That's what we need to teach your kids. You get lost, even though the policeman's a stranger, the fireman's a stranger because they don't know them, they're safe. They're somebody you can go to for a resource. So we can use the businesses and the name tags. Like I said, teach our kids that these are people that can help you. We can call the police. We see strangers every day in our parks, in our neighborhoods, on the playgrounds. Kids, sometimes kids view strangers only as adults. Strangers can be other kids, right? Again, it's just an unknown person. It's not a bad thing to be a stranger. One thing I like to do is I empower my boys. I've got a boy that's in 5th grade and a boy in 2nd grade. I like to empower them to think if somebody approaches you or somebody is doing something to you that is not normal, you can do something back. Just because they're an adult, an authority figure to you, doesn't mean you can't do something. If somebody's trying to grab you, let's make an alarm. Let's throw out there, hey, you're not my mom, you're not my dad. Bite, stomp, kick. You know what? I don't encourage lying, but if it's somebody's trying to take you, I don't have a problem with lying to that person. We need to teach our kids to empower kids. Again, we don't want to scare them. We don't want them to feel like when they're lost or they're by themselves, that it's an unsafe world. To me, I think it's a very safe world out there, but we just have to be aware of our surroundings. We don't want to live in the bubble. I hear a lot of times that Liberty, that can't happen in Liberty. We're part of a major metropolitan community. Yes, it can happen in Liberty. Things have happened in Liberty. Things have happened on school buses and around schools all over the city, okay? So things can happen. And I usually tell people this. How many people have been in a car wreck? Anybody been in a car wreck? But how many car wrecks? Once? I mean, how many years you been driving? A few. How many car wrecks you been in? Just one. Do you wear a seatbelt every time you get in the car, though? But you've only been in one car wreck in all the years you've been driving. So it's kind of that security. I'm still going to take these, responsibility to wear my seatbelt. Same thing with teaching our kids. I'm going to teach my kids this stuff can happen to them, but I don't want them to think just because they walk out the door, it's going to happen to them. I just want them to be prepared. Here's some stats. According to the National Crime Center for Missing and Exploited Children, 3,500 attempts in 2009 were foiled due to the following reasons. The kid ran or fled from the scene, 53%. I mean, that's usually what we tell our kids, right? You're walking down the street, a car approaches you, at the same direction. What do we usually tell them? Walk the opposite direction, correct? Kids kicked and screamed. Hey, you're not my mom, you're not my dad. Bit, kicked, screamed, ran. caused alarm, right? Other adults see this going on, they generally will help people. We should teach our children to trust their instincts. That's one thing I really tried to help my boys with. You've got that little voice inside your head, hey, that's not a good person, or this is not a good situation to be in. That little voice that's ringing in your head, you need to listen to it, because I guarantee you it's probably going to be right. You're walking down your street, your kid's walking home, he sees something that's not normal to him. This van wasn't parked here. It's not usually parked here. Doesn't mean it's a bad person, but I want my kids to be able to learn to visually think, this van is not here. I'm going to prepare myself mentally. If somebody gets out of this van and approaches me, what do I need to do? It might just be the repairman working on the cable TV. Who knows? It might be somebody waiting for my kids to walk home from the school bus stop since they walk so far from the bus stop. We don't know, but just to empower them to think about it. How many kids have cell phones in a day? A lot, right? Well, not all grade school kids have cell phones. I bet every one of you girls have cell phones, don't you? So you guys could call for help at any time, right? How many of the parents, adults here, how many of you guys have old cell phones at home? Okay, do they still charge up? Did you know those cell phones, even though they don't have service, call 911? Every cell phone in this country is designed to call 911 with no service or not. So what do I stick in my fifth grader's backpack every day? My old cell phone. It calls who it needs to call, right? It still gets a hold of me. So he gets a hold of 911. That's why kids need a cell phone last time when they're by themselves, is to call for help. And again, don't throw away those old cell phones. Keep them. If you know somebody that's got grade school kids, keep it charged up. Throw it in the backpack every morning when they're walking home. When was the last time an adult over here, or you guys, even you guys, when was the last time you asked a grade school kid for help? Hey, I lost something. Can you help me find it? Hey, my car over here, I'm having trouble getting my car. Can you help me with my car, kid? Adults ask other adults for assistance. We don't ask kids. We've never asked kids. And adults, if you guys see this, you're at a park and you see some kid you know, and you see an adult kind of approaching them, and you're, again, use your instincts. That doesn't look so right. Kind of keep an eye on it. If you see a kid being lured over to a car, you might think, I'm going to keep my eye on this. Okay, guy's driving a white truck. He's got that bumper sticker on the back. Yep, okay. He's kind of taller than most guys. He's got a baseball cap on. Start thinking that for yourself. You know, it takes a community to keep our kids safe. That's what I always tell people. Typically, there are, 7 or 8 policemen patrolling our city. We have 30,000 people. We can't be everywhere at once, but we rely on our community. Same thing, if you guys are at a park, in an event, you can usually detect if a kid's in distress. Use that same instinct that we're trying to teach our kids for yourself to help protect our kids. Here's some little tips. Children should know their names, addresses, and phone numbers. Okay, girls, I'm going to put you guys on the spot. Where do you live? What city?
Kansas City, Missouri.
Where do you live?
Kansas City, Missouri. Liberty, Missouri.
You know how many kids I ask anymore? Where do you live? Liberty. Oh, okay, but where do you live? I live in Montclair. Okay, what's your address? So, KCMO. But where do you live? Liberty. No, you live in Kansas City. No, I live in Liberty. They have this connotation if I go to the Liberty schools that I live in Liberty, even though my address says KCMO. And this is like junior high kids, high school kids I've ran this into. A lot of high school kids, do you know your home address? Every one of you? A lot of kids don't even know the numbers on their house. Well, it's the 3rd house down the street, you know, in Montclair. So we need to make sure our kids know that stuff. Having cell phones is great. Everybody has a cell phone, but how many people dial the number anymore? Pushing the buttons, or do you just click the name, right? If I took away your cell phone, could you tell me the number of your best friend?
I could not.
That's kind of a problem, isn't it? Right? So we need to make sure we know contact numbers. Our parents' phone numbers, you know, we need to teach our kids that make sure they know the cell phone number. It's not number 1 or it's not dad on the cell phone if the kid has a cell phone. Recite the number, right? Because you don't know it, you don't know it. Sometimes I don't even know my own cell phone number. So it's one of those things that we don't remember numbers anymore. But if a kid is lost from his parent, We kind of need to know that number. It's nice to know. Or you lost your cell phone, or you broke your cell phone. Kids lose those things, right? Need to know the numbers. Use the buddy system when walking. Stats show that typically abductors don't ever go after kids that are in groups of more than 2 or 3. Why is that? Well, there's safety in numbers, right? You've heard that from your parents. There's always safety in numbers. I don't want to get caught, and if there's 2 or 3 kids, the chances that I will get caught is more likely. So safety in numbers again. Refuse an adult's invite or ride with confidence and raise alarm if the adult does not back off. You know, when you teach your kids, if you're approached by an adult in a car, nope, no, that's good, my mom's on her way. Or, you know, the scenario of, hey, your dad, I work with your dad, can you, he told me to pick you up after basketball practice, you know, I just got to take you home, he's working late, it'd be okay. We need to teach our kids, again, in that situation, this doesn't seem right. My dad didn't tell me he wasn't going to pick me up. You know, he didn't tell me that wasn't going on. As a dad, I wouldn't be mad. You know, if I'd sent my friend to go pick up my kid refused, I wouldn't be mad at that. We need to teach our kids to tell that guy with confidence, no, I think I'm going to wait for my dad to call me or my dad to pick me up. Or, hey, let me call my dad real quick and make sure that it's okay that you take me home. We need to teach our kids to openly share with us. I mean, a lot of kids, do you guys share everything with your parents? If something kind of bad happened, do you always share with your parents? No. We need to teach our kids to trust us, you know, and that's very hard to do. I understand that. I've got those boys, and they don't always want to tell you what's going on. But when something's kind of serious, again, when it's in that your little voice in your head, and it's saying, man, I should probably tell my parents, but I might get in trouble, but I might not. We need to help them to openly share with us. And that's just through communication, talking to your kids, even about, you know, how was school today? Just keeping those communication lines open helps a lot with openness. If someone has attempted to take your child, remember to have them remember as much as possible. So if this happens, parents, as soon as the kid gets home, how tall was he? Is he taller than me or shorter than me? Okay, what color is his hair? Is it dark or is it light? You know, is he muscular, or is he skinny, or is he kind of heavy set? You know, what was he driving? What kind of car? Was it a truck? Was it a four-door car? Was it light colored or dark colored? Sometimes don't get too caught up in the color of a car, but because at nighttime, a dark green car, a brown car, a black car, all look black. You know, sometimes at night, a silver car, a gray car, all look white. So is it light colored or dark colored? Keep it simple with kids. Parents, be in touch with your children at all time. This is kind of important. Even the other day, I was going to be late getting home, so I sent a note to Lewis and Clark. Hey, can you send this to my son? He's in 5th grade. Tell him I'm not going to be home, that he needs to let himself in the garage. And I know they usually get home about 4:15. So at 4:20, I call them up on the phone. You guys make it in the house okay? Yep, we're good, Dad. Okay, is the house locked up? Yep, we're good. Okay. What are you going to do if somebody calls you on the phone? We're going to tell them that you're busy in the garage. Great. You know, what are you going to do if somebody knocks on the door? We're just not going to answer. Great. Sounds good to me. Thanks, kids. I felt very good. I was home about 20 minutes, 30 minutes after they got home, but I felt very safe because I had kind of instructed them what they need to do. And they'd done it. I was proud of them. Instill confidence. And that can come from many different things, you know. Encouraging your kids, you know, I remember I had a problem with one of my kids, and I put him in karate. And for some reason, that gave him a lot of confidence. Finding something the kid is confident at and just making him feel confident will increase his personality and make him feel like, okay, I can take care of stuff. Encourage openness. Again, keep those communication lines open with your kids. Even if the kids don't want to talk, hey, what happened at school today? Nothing. Surely something happened today at school. You didn't talk to anybody, didn't do anything. Oh, yeah, I talked to Jimmy, and then we talked about basketball, and we played this game. It's amazing how you just kind of pry that out of them. That keeps that openness in line and keeps us communicating with each other. Help children to develop courage and not to scare them. Again, that's why I don't call it stranger danger anymore. I don't like the word danger in it. It's safety. Hey, I'm trying to keep you safe. It's not a dangerous world. It's a safe world, but let's make it safer. Teach them how to trust their instincts. That's teaching them how to listen to that little voice in the head. I tell my boys all the time, you hear that little voice in your head before you did something I told you not to do? Yeah, Dad, what did it tell you? Well, it told me if I did it, I'd probably get in trouble. And yet you did it anyway? Yeah, and then what happened? I got in trouble. What happened if you listened to that voice? I wouldn't have got in trouble. That's exactly right. Encourage kids to play with others, even if your kid likes to play on his own. Again, that's the safety in numbers deal. You know, I have a boy that he likes to play alone, but when he goes out to the creek or out to the backfield, I make sure he always has a buddy with him. Let them be independent, but at the same time seek permission. Okay, where I'm kind of going with that is we want our kids to be able to make choices and make good decisions, but yet we still need to guide them. You know, I remember one time one of my sons just decided to walk up to his friend's house. Didn't tell me, kind of scared me. I couldn't find him. You know, he should have asked permission, so I knew he was at. All right, that kind of concludes my stranger safety presentation. It's kind of a short little topic, but it's something that's very important to keeping our kids safe in our community, especially in a day and age when we see so much on the news every night and we've been bombarded with stuff. And I don't think that our world is any less safe than it was 20, 30 years ago. I think we just know more information because in the past we would have, when we were younger, we didn't have the 24 hours news network, and we wouldn't have known if a child was abducted in Florida because it would have been in the paper and we have never would have read it. So I just think we know more, and knowing more has kind of scared us. So we want to make sure that we don't scare our kids at the same time. Any questions?